On behalf of the National Museum of Women in the Arts and our director, Susan Sterling, our board of directors, and I thank you for joining us this afternoon. Fresh Talk is a part of the Women, Art, and Social Change Initiative, a public program initiative that highlights the power of women and the arts as catalysts for conversations for change. We have conversations with leading artists, designers, activists, social innovators, and others. The Women, Art, and Social Change Programs Initiative is made possible through leadership gifts by Denise Littlefield-Sobel, the Doris Dowry Family Fund, the Revada Foundation and Logan Family Foundation, and the Susan and Jim Swartz Public Programs Fund. Additional funding is provided by the Bernstein Family Foundation. Today, we've joined Chinua Moja and Adama Delphine Fawandou as we explore the role and the power of the artist to bear witness and reflect the times, no matter how harrowing the times may be. In the past year, we saw long-term issues of social injustice exacerbated by the pandemic, issues of systematic racism, climate change, exploitive labor, and police brutality, and we were brought back to the forefront as waves of activism and public outcry pushed for change. As we will discuss in this conversation, none of these social ills were new, nor is the role of the artists who are often charged with the duty, as Nina Simone said, to reflect the times. The two artists today have actively reflected the times, have showed us ourselves, and also improved upon our own humanity, and created platforms for other artists to bear witness as well. It is my honor to be in conversation with them about the power of the moment as we work towards transformative change. First, we will hear First, we will hear from Adama Delphine Fawandou, and then we will hear from Chinua Moja Nelson, and then gather together for a discussion about artists as witness. Without any delay, I present Adama Delphine Fawandou.
Thank you all. It's a pleasure to have you here and to present my work to you. I will share my screen. Okay. So I pulled this quote from Saidiya Hartman. First, let me talk a little bit about myself. I'm a visual artist and a photographer based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm first generation, born in America to parents from Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. And it is my life's work to really use art in order to inspire and to make connections between Africa and its diaspora, and to continue to grow and just think of new ways of being in this world, actively being critiquing what's going on around us socially and politically, and think of new ways of existing and being. Here's a quote by Saidiya Hartman: "But when does one decide to stop looking to the past instead of conceive a new order? When is it time to dream of another country, or to embrace other strangers as allies, or to make an opening, an overture where there is none?" I'll introduce you to a project that I engaged with fellow artist Leila Amatullah Bahrain. We both created a book called Mfon, Women Photographers of the African Diaspora, which was inspired by Viewfinders, Black women photographers, edited by Jeannie Mutasami Ash. We created this book because there was a void. We published this, self-published in 2017, because we found that there was a void in the representation of women and non-binary photographers of African descent. Jeannie's book was published in the 80s, and we thought, this is 2017. We actually started thinking about this project in 2004. And even then, it was a wide gap and not enough of a document that would document what people were doing at this time. The book is named after photographer Mfon Essien. This was also a way for us to preserve her legacy. Mfon unfortunately passed away from breast cancer in 2000, and it was important for us to not only uplift the voices of other women and non-binary people who were doing this work, but also uplift the legacy and make sure that her legacy was continuing. Here's a quote from Umfang, just to give you an idea of her character. She wrote this during the time that she was at the height of her battle with breast cancer. She said, "I am constantly shooting myself so I can continue to appreciate what I have and where I am. The result, I am totally digging where I am." So she used self-portraiture during her ongoing battle with cancer as a way to heal. And therefore this cover of the book is her self-portrait, and very striking, amazing, beautiful work. So over the course of 2 years, we compiled photos of different women from different walks of life that we've met on our journeys around the world, but also that we've connected with and just followed their work, and thought that why not have this book that will live in the archives and in the hands of many people around the globe, to show what we were doing in the world. And I'll share a few of these photos with you. And again, these women are from different parts of Africa, from the Caribbean, from South America, from all parts of the United States and Europe and Asia. And it was also important to use an intergenerational group of women. Our youngest photographer at the time was 14 and the oldest 83. So we self-published this book because it was difficult to get it published, as something that we always come up against as creatives is the gatekeeper. And the gatekeepers told us that they didn't think that they could sell this book, right? And when we did it ourselves without much promotion on our part, we were able to, people came to us. We ended up speaking at all of these, actually all of these universities and collections collected our books and more. So we are in collections around the globe, and we were published. People reached out to us without us having to hire a publicist. People reached out to us, and we were able to appear in all of these publications. And we gave talks. We ended up traveling on a 2-year tour around the world to give talks about this book. We did a great project with the Rwandan embassy. I mean, with the embassy and the U.S. Embassy in Rwanda, to share this project with young people and photographers in Rwanda. And we've been doing this work. So it's always about the community. This was really a labor of love for us. It wasn't about making money. It was about uplifting our voices globally, and also serving as mentors to different photographers around the globe. And we're still doing this work. So I'm really happy to be able to have had the opportunity to do this project with my best friend and sister, Layla Amatullah Bahrain. So it's an idea of how friends even work together for the greater good of the collective. And I'll get a little bit into my work. I'm going to start with this photo called Praise House. I first encountered this praise house in the Gullah Island, St. Helena Island, home of the Gullah people in the Sea Islands of South Carolina. And I visited this island in 1998. And just learning about the Gullah people was especially interesting to me and important to me because of my heritage being from Sierra Leone, and seeing and knowing that there was a synergy between the Mendes of Sierra Leone and the Gullahs of the Sea Island, and to go and visit and eat jollof rice, which I'm calling jollof rice, but it's red rice because it tastes the same, and understanding Gullah. Imagine, right, that the language that was spoken, and I'm going to say language that was spoken in my home Creole, I could go and hear the Gullah language and understand it. To me, that connection is what sparked my interest in, like, a real hardcore interest in Africa and the diaspora, because I knew that something more powerful was happening than the energy that was used to disconnect us and to say that we have no histories and we have no languages and we're just, so I wanted to tap into the power. So that tapping into the power is where I draw my inspiration for making art. I'm also inspired by my direct lineage my ancestral memory, which I feel, and my body memory, which I feel spans the earth. I have this quote by Edouard Glissant: repetition, moreover, is an acknowledged form of consciousness, both here and elsewhere, consenting to the infinitesimal momentum, an addition perhaps unnoticed that stubbornly persists in your knowledge. And it's that persistence, again, that just, it's where I create. It's my tapping into the greater power that allows me to create. Now, my grandmother was a textile maker. She made Agara fabrics, where she hand dyed them and sold them in her community, Pudjon, Sierra Leone, West Africa. She used this trade in order to send all 3 of her children to university. I've only met my grandmother twice in my life. Here she is, Grandma Adama, because I was all the way here in Brooklyn and the Civil War, so many things kept us apart. But what I had were her fabrics and this photograph of her. And I'm also named after her. And I was always mesmerized with her from since I was a child. And about 5 years ago is when I started being in conversation with her and using her actual fabrics in my work. Here are some fabrics. I mean, these fabrics appear in different ways. There are curtains in my home. There are dresses, there are blazers. There's all different types of ways that her fabrics remain. And she's no longer with us physically. So when I think about fabrics and the memory that they hold, and her hands are actually in that fabric, it's such a beautiful place to inspire and create from. So how that looks is I also use my body to perform in my work. So here's a picture of me posed with my godmother, but the dress that I'm wearing was once worn by my mother, and then now I use it in my work. But this series is called Passageways, and here I'm thinking about those lineages, those communications, not only between myself and my ancestors and my elders, and between myself and those that come after me, but also that long connection again between Africa and the diaspora. So my work is definitely conceptual, and there's so many different ways in it, and depending on how long you take to look at the work, you'll find different things. Here's another one from that series, and this is me posing with my mother. And so I love to use family members as co-performers in the work as well. And here are some more images of me, again, using those abstracting different elements of the fabric, sometimes juxtaposing them with domestic materials that remind me of what I saw around my household growing up. Because of course, there's always this hybridity. And when I think about the hybridity, I think of the complex nature of my own identity and the identity of all of us. Like, we're never one thing, right? And how those inform who we are. And the more that we start to learn about that, the more we start to produce and do things in the world. Visually, and I started making experimental videos in 2017. I made this video in 2017, and it's really a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So in this video, there's a soundtrack that is made from elements of trap music, elements of words that I've gotten from people, from writers that I'm inspired by, chanting from Mende, calling for the rain and for the harvest, and using all of that to create a video called The Cleanse. I don't have much time, so I'm going to just play a very small snippet of this video.
See some cash, keep them dollars coming, and that's gonna make me dance. And that's gonna make me dance. And that's gonna make me dance. Make it rain, tree, make it rain, tree. Make it rain, tree, make it rain, tree. Make it rain, tree, make it rain, tree. Make it rain, tree, make it rain, tree.
Where there is a woman, there is magic. If there is a moon falling from her mouth, she is a woman who knows her magic, who can share or not share her powers. A woman with a moon falling from her mouth roses between her legs and tiaras of Spanish moss. This woman is a consort of the spirits. And there are three that bear witness in earth, the spirit, and the water, and the blood, and these three agree in one. And he who sends down from time to time water from the sky in due measure, and we raise to life therewith a land that is dead. Even so will you be raised from the dead. There is neither time nor place for us here, unless we create it. I found God in myself, and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. I loved her fiercely.
Also, please give me a signal on time because I want to, be respectful. And so this is the video. I'm going to move past this one just for the sake of time. Also, materials are a very important part of my work. And so I often, just as I'm piecing together what I feel like I'm gathering pieces of the earth together as I travel the earth and make one piece based on these pieces and materials. And so this sometimes works with some sea moss from Savannah mixed with raffia from Sierra Leone to make mixed media pieces such as this. I'm also and this one here, cowrie shell from Sierra Leone, and all of these. My own hair is within the face of this this being. I also think about African spiritual religions or traditions and incorporate some of those elements into my work as well. Blue is something that finds its way in my work all the time. I'm constantly thinking about masking. And so for me, everything is a mask. Here's a mask created out of myself in a post-colonial structure home in Sierra Leone. Here's me at the shore of Echo, which we know as Lagos, with cotton that comes from the south in front of the Atlantic Ocean, another mask. Here is Blue Like Black in Argentina, where I like to disrupt our notions of history and how we understand history, because history has been used in order to, dissect our minds, interrupt our minds, and think and interrupt the way that we think about ourselves. For example, in Argentina, it's nationally been known to deny the African roots in Argentina, but here I am in Argentina on a colonial structure, being a Black goddess, being a goddess, right? And challenging that idea. And it's so interesting because the tango, which is the national dance of Argentina, comes directly from Congo, and we could think about all of those relations. And these are the things that I like to bring out in the work. I've been engaging with historical documents for some time now and screen printing my body onto the documents as a way of thinking about the relationship between the past, present, and the future. And what does it mean to actually engage in past, present, and future on a continuum? And here are some of the the images made from that project. It looks like a huge, when you see it in person, it's installed. There's so many different documents, and then it's up to the viewer to really go in deep and start to see and relate to things. Interestingly enough, I was working on another iteration of this project when we were hit by the pandemic, and I was challenged to create some work that would not be exhibited physically. So I decided to make a cape out of all of these documents. And I called it the Freedom Cape, the In the Face of History Freedom Cape. And here is the Freedom Cape, made of all of these documents. And these documents were actually gathered together as we were celebrating the 100 years of women actually having the right to vote. But it was important for me to focus on African-American women and the contributions that they've made in this country to fight for that very right, which is unnoticed many times. And I'll just leave with a quick video of me performing that cape.
As much as, it is about go vote, it is about disrupting and dismantling every system that has built in this country on white supremacy that
I
oppresses us,
collaborated with
which
several
includes
women who you
our
hear in the
democratic
background
process.
speaking about
The
voting.
realities that we face is that this is the system that's in place. What's the alternative for us in our communities if we don't vote? We need to disrupt the system. So, but my question is, can we disrupt the system from inside? Is it one or the other?
I know that we only have 2
Is it
minutes,
voting or
like it's
disrupting
time
the
to
system, or
finish,
do we
so I
encourage people to
will-
vote as we're finding ways to dismantle or disrupt systemic racism?
So how do we actually break out of these systems that we have been sort of sequestered into the last several hundred years, beyond, just us
Okay, I'll
being
end
Black
here.
people, us being Black
Thank you
women
so
as
much.
people in this country?
Oops.
What is the new
Let me
thing?
mute
Because
myself.
obviously what we
Sorry.
have is not working. The fact that the
Okay, thank you so much for joining, and I cannot wait to hear Mama Mojo. I already have a name for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we on? Oh, okay. We ready now?
We are ready. It's coming up.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, South of Well, this is the beginning of the times that I've invested over 50 years in what I call cultural arts activism. And it's through my artwork that my voice is heard. I also call myself indulging in the sacred arts of resistance. So through beauty, there is resistance. We find ourselves in so many ways once we deal with culture as a guidepost. Culture embraces us and moves us to the next phase of our being here. So as I've given to culture, culture has given back much, much more. The journey has been, am I supposed to move this or Amanda? Amanda? So anyway, the work has been all along about resisting, embracing ourselves, our culture in so many ways. As you see the work reflect us, it gives back through other means. So over the years, I've been able to travel, see other artists, and this particular one is in the early or mid 60s is when I did this, probably about, no, wait a minute. My daughter's now 56, so this was taken when she was 7 years old. So that is about 50 years ago now. And again, embracing the culture. As I was thinking about this, we were turned on in Baltimore. We had created our own institutions. We had Soul School and we had Timbuktu Educational Center. We are from the community of West and East Baltimore, came together to say that we, again, as they are saying Black Lives Matter, we are saying our lives matter in a way that supposedly will uplift us as a people. But I find that as we did that, I didn't recognize that the greater culture were there appropriating our moves. So as I'm looking back 50 years later, I'm seeing the change in this. But again, like I said, it was through the auspices of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, dealing with our ancestral women heroes and sheroes, like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman were the baselines for what I was doing. This was the first Folklife Festival held, and again, embracing, you can see I'm in a sea of other folks, but again, embracing myself, I found light, I found life, I found energy that had not existed in our lives before. Again, it was the returning of the brothers from the Vietnam War that sparked this in Baltimore particularly. Again, they had been in contact with other young men from all over the country. As a result, the magnitude of the energy was just off the charts. So we really began to change our names, change who we were in the world. We were once called Negroes, and we demanded to be called Africans in America. Since then, they called it Afro-Americans or what have you. But again, the Africanness is what we embraced the most. Next slide. This is the first photo session I did of my work. Again, finding African fabrics, making new materials. And I really was impressed that Delphine said that her grandmother was a textile artist. That touched my heart because I know what goes into that. I've put, like, again, I've created my own fabrics as well, but I also indulge wildly in African prints as a part of my work. Over the years, it has expanded. So you can see again, as we go, the work being back to ourselves, bringing us back to who we were. That's what it's always been about. I've embraced many other women artists, what I term the long haulers, and that would be in the realm of women like Betty Saar, women like Faith Ringo, Dinga McCannon. Dinga's been in it too for eons of time. As well as my very good friend, Valerie Maynard. So I use these women as guideposts because when they got into the work, they stuck to the same element. It did not go off chart. And so you can go to the next one. Again, moving along with when we had only a limited amount of what we call Africanness around us, we began to create our own. So as you see this young man, O.G. Blackston, started creating staffs and making jewelry, and I made jewelry and even things out of bones and stones and what have you. So what you don't have initially, you begin to create for yourself. And that's the beginning of the work. Again, we're in the late 60s, early 70s along this time. Next, please. Feathers, macrame, cowrie shells, whatever you can bring into the work that will enhance the beauty. It was once a song, a young friend of mine, in fact, it was my goddaughter that made a song that we have a right to beauty. We have a right, that's ours. It's a part of our culture. It's who we are. And once again, when you embrace that, it gives you so much more than you put into it. So as a result of that, I was able to work for over the years in so many various fields. I've taught senior citizens. I've taught young people summer camp. I've taught at Ujamaa Shule. Again, when you give, you get back in tenfold. So that's what's been my lesson along the line. Again, can we move a little faster, Amanda? Thank you. Infinity Designs, this is when I was in Baltimore working with a group of about 8 friends. And that's when I started recognizing that, again, we had Ebony Fashion Fair, but I wanted to give the African Fashion Fair. So I juxtaposed what I was doing to what they were doing. The work has been very welcomed around. I mean, like I said, I went back to Nigeria in '77 for FESTAC, which was an international African festival. I went to Senegal. I've been into Cuba twice and Brazil twice, using my artwork as the guide post. And as I traveled, I used the people that were in these spaces. So imagine putting on the clothes and translating that to themselves. It's been a really blessing to do that. As you can see, the work is various forms are brought out, from loosely fitted garments to satins with the African print, feathers. These became always an element to the work. This, in '79, I married Alan Uziki Nelson, the sculptor, and we joined together. I always say we joined forces together, and I like to see our work together, but he does monumental ancestral guardian sculptures. As I did my shows, sometimes we use his artwork on stage, and he began to do works from various, in honor of various heroes. Like I said, Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X, Dr. Cleveland Denard, as a part of the people that he celebrated. But back to my work, like I said, I began to incorporate his work of mine as when I was doing some of the shows around the area. Again, fabric experimentations from batik to tie-dyes. This is in Malcolm X Park, which is really beautiful space where drummers come out every Sunday and celebrate the beauty of the park. So anyway, back to the work, it's been a major input on having these wonderful spaces around us to work from. This is a fabric that's called George. George is very interesting because it's made in India, but it's made for the African marketplace. So you find that fabric being used early on. But when Nigeria put a quota on how much George they would let in, because the African textile artists were suffering as a result of everybody going over to use George. So I backed up off of it over the years. This is I call the magic coat. It's made of canvas, hand painted, and various symbols incorporated in there. You see the Ankh, the yin and yang, the checkerboard, which means a lot, well, it has various meanings. And again, the use of feathers. So back to the spirit of calling our ancestral energies is why I've created pieces like this. This is a very special piece to me. The Egungun shawl, I've created several of them, but they are made of strips of various fabrics that I've used over the years. This more or less is symbolic of the phoenix. As you know, the concept of the phoenix is one coming back up out of from their own ashes. After being declared dead, the phoenix rose again. So again, in honor of us as a people who have come back again to embrace who we are. Next, please. This one is on cashmere. As you can't see but one face, but it's he said, she said. So it's a conversation in a coat. I created this in the mid-'70s as, again, a way of dealing here. I did a series of coats, actually, keeping in mind we are in a climate that, again, from usually the, 6 months heat and 6 months cold. So I began to address the various seasons which we find ourselves. Again, I've used all kinds of medium with the fabric. I've appliqued, like I said, painted, tie-dyed, anything you can do with textile. In fact, when I was at Maryland Institute of Art, my major was textiles for the first year. And then I moved on into the various levels of fiber art to crafts and what have you with the work, fashion design. Next, please. This is when the work changed into reality. And like I said, the fabric of George being utilized then. But again, claiming our queendom again in the work. It's always been a major calling to me as we celebrate ourselves. And my models, I really went for women that wore their hair natural, preferably in the work, because I wanted to represent us as being a natural woman as much as the other design groups. I use Ebony Fashion Fairs, whatever, were highly ornamented with makeup and hairstyles that really came from a Eurocentric perspective. And I always wanted to make a difference to this. This is the fan coat. Again, utilizing the fabric in a way that gave you more than one way to wear, a choice, I should say, of how you would present the coat. So you can wear the coat that way, as like the fan coat, or it had buttons up front, it would fit even tighter. If you wore a belt around it, it would give you another illusion. So I like to have a garment that you could have choices of more than one way to utilize it. The next garments, again, we are talking about the mid-70s, early, no, we're talking about the 80s now. We're in the mid-80s. And again, utilizing various materials. The fabric in the purple, I think it's a bluish purple, with this beautiful metallic strip fabric from Senegal. And then over to the, well, the other piece is a wall tapestry that I came upon that was excellent to go along with this jacket. I mean, this fabric was actually a blanket from Mexico that I created this piece. So taken from various cultures, and I call Take It Back and Make It Black. Bring it to us. So it's okay to use other various materials of people, but as long as we use it in consciousness of who we're dealing with, our people, then to me, the aesthetic is profound. Now we're going into the mid-80s. This is all crochet coat. And again, as I was talking about transforming, it's a dress that can be a cape. And as you go up to the collar, it's can transform into a coat. That's called the Cosmic Rainbow, all crochet. That took six months to create. And a lot of times I don't even think about how long it will take to do something. It's the amount of work and energy that I put into it to manifest the idea. So it doesn't matter that this took 6 months to create. I, again, knew that it would be more powerful if I put the kind of time that it required. Some things require your time and energy, and in order to create. The piece in purple is called the purple, the Empress. The Empress is a piece that has handmade paper. The headpiece and collar is handmade paper. And then the garment is tissue metallic. Again, creating ourselves as being seriously about our queenship and presenting that in that manner. Mhm. And again, address, I call this one, oh, what is that? Okay, I forgot her name right now, but she's coming back. But that's, I created the headpiece of a feathered headpiece. I did the dress of various fabrics using the quilt concept, and again, declaring ourselves as to being royal here. Again, fighting against, again, a certain aspect of the greater culture that declared that what we did didn't really resonate with the greater group of folk. However, I find that being invited to various places around the globe, we are always, when we in our true stance of who we are appreciated and welcomed there. So again, when I was in Europe, and particularly London, and London being the cosmo space that it is, meeting brothers and sisters from the Sudan, from, well, they were from all over, Ethiopia, or what have you. They always welcome when they see us appreciate ourselves, because they have another idea of who they think Africans Americans were at the time. And I'm talking about the 70s and the 70s and 80s, when I was making these visits there. And I was like, yes, we embrace our African selves wherever we are. Next, please. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is called The Medicine Shirt for the Warriors Who Don't Know Where the War Is. And on the top, you will see various gris-gris, I would call it, little packets of that I've collected actually from Africa, and some I've made of pieces. But again, calling back the warriors who are in a warrior mode, but they are misguided. In fact, there was a record put out, a song put out called Misguided Warriors by a group called Fertile Ground when I created this shirt. Again, these are my first locks, again, with fused with feathers and what have you. So this is a very ancestral energy on this piece. Again, the warriors are our young men who are in a warrior stance, but are misguided by their moves and who their consciousness, actually, that's what it relates to. Yeah. And so I started to open up the work to other elements of the arts, and these are thrones I've created for, again, our heroes and sheroes. So this one, the first one was my first throne, and it was in honor of my mother, a woman who really, really gave me the wherewithal with beauty, recognizing beauty when I saw her. I call it her because I come from a feminine concept of embracing beauty. But this is the first throne that I created in honor of, and I call it Queen Anne, the actual Queen Anne. As you see, it's very adorned, the cowrie shells around the edges, and the little rhinestones of the little celebrations of life in that this piece. Next, please. This is Kinda Blue, Blues Dance for Blues People. It's all beaded and mixed media. But again, if you see the seat, this is a seat that, rather a throne that cannot be sat on. So it's only to be recognized that it is a special space for energy. Again, you can't sit in it because it's all beaded. Again, it's to the seat is the Adinkra symbol of the most powerful meaning there is no other God but God, or God is the greatest, whatever the highest number of symbolism for God is in the seat of the chair. The throne itself is, I only had one view of this, but it has beaded on the back as well. And so it's about being in this space, recognizing this space, and still claiming who you are in this space. Next slide. Over to the left, this one is a beautiful piece that was created. A friend of mine, actually, brother who's now an ancestor, gifted me with this painting, and I felt the painting should be on the chair. So I call this a collaboration. But again, on this side, is we are the dreams of our ancestors. And so this is what's manifested on this piece. And then I moved over to using mosaic and glass, which I really enjoy doing that, creating these, again, altar-like pieces. The face on the piece is done by another young friend of mine from Howard. That was done out of clay, but all the other parts of that is created to the message of the visitor. We are all visitors here. We are all visitors. We're just coming through for minutes. So we have to leave something along the path. And I would call it a light on the path, or a footprint on the path that would lead us to our liberation as a people. And so this is why these pieces were created. Again, you know the symbol of the Ankh, but this is like a 4 foot Ankh done on wood, mounted on, the glass is mounted on wood. Next, please. And again, I got into really messages. This is ancestral memories of Birdland. I created this one after collecting pieces of broken pieces of African art that I got from a collector. I bought a box, or he gifted me rather, a box of these broken pieces. And my goal is always to take brokenness and make whole things out of it. So again, this is more like a juju piece, if you will, calling and summoning ancestral images and symbolisms, and recognizing us as being powerful people on this space that we hold down now. So mixed media. This is glass, crown of thorns for the visionary. This is all glass, mostly found in the streets of Washington, D.C., denoting brokenness among us. As I said, I wanted to, as an artist, take brokenness and create something whole. This is a crown that, again, symbolizing the concept that we wear from brokenness to wholeness to beauty in our own beings, being who we are. So again, wire wrapped in brass and copper wire until it was created. It was funny that I was going along the streets finding this glass, and I must admit, I guess I looked kind of odd to people looking around the streets of DC. Now that the energy has shifted, I noticed you can't even find broken glass. We have a clean streets now because of gentrification. So I have to really be glad that the moment that I caught in Washington, that I could find these jewels on the street. And I call them gems instead of broken glass. I was more or less harvesting these gemstones of glass in the streets of Washington. And next. And here's the Queen of Spades in all her glory. Created I did the necklace that she's wearing, which is, I guess, about 3 different modes of bone, wood, brass, cowrie shells, again, brass, what have you. The headpiece, you can see the fullness of the feathered headpiece. Again, giving homage to the phoenix. That's I equate that concept to us as a people. And the dress is, again, sometimes you see that it's going to take a long time to create something, but you see the greater vision. So it took me a while to pull these pieces together, but at the end, it was more than I really had envisioned the work to be. So again, months and months and months of activity on the my behalf as the artist. And next, please. This is my latest piece, and it's called Redemption Ritual from the Book of Resurrection. And I'm using mixed media. I'm using glass to make a note. If you start at the bottom, and this is a piece that I have a booklet to go with that really gives you what the symbolisms mean. So anyway, the pieces at the bottom represents our ancient ancestors. So we start at the bottom and then we turn to the left, we go to our master teachers. And then we always recognize those who have suffered for us to be here. That's when you see the clay piece of representing Anastasia. Anastasia was a woman from Brazil that was taken into slavery, but they said she was a queen and she was a seer. So as a result of that, she still was a healer, even in the slavery. But to silence her, they put this bit in her mouth, which she had to wear. And they said she began to speak with her eyes. And so our eyes are very powerful. And the concept of using that as in the piece would really elevate the concept for me. And then you come around and you see the, that went fast. Oh, and then you come around and I'm calling note to the Queen Mother in the center that is surrounded by the snake, which is a symbol of transformation as well. As we come down to the right side of the piece, we have our saints. We have our own saints. So I started with Saint Emmett, Saint Trayvon, and Saint George. Let's not forget those who have sacrificed themselves to us to wake up to where we are and who we are and what time we are in. So what I noted about being in this time is that many of our brothers and sisters have laid down their lives and let their lives not be in vain. And this art gives voice and opportunity to raise your voice, to bring about their energies and let it be profound on being here at this time. And so as we close out, the last piece is the piece with the peacock, giving praises and honor. This is one of the symbols of Oshun. And I always give praises and honor to the ancestors for allowing these energies to come through and be a profound part of my existence here. And so I say ashe to that. Thank you.
Asheo. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your presentation. Adama, I want to know if I can join you and what you had hinted to earlier. And this moment, I think we just have to stick with Mama as a term of endearment and respect, but also Mama Moja, which totally wraps it fully into your magic and your mystique. So ashe for all the presentations that you both gave, and I'm glad that we can now be put in conversation. I think that we are in the screen where we're able to see each other and be in full conversation. One part that, as I hear you both speak about your work, and it was evident in your work as you spoke about it, but even just from looking at it, and it's also evident in any kind of real movement of liberation of Indigenous or Black bodies, that African spirituality is always a part of that. Even when we move in our evolution or revolutions inside of the artistic realm, whether we're doing it in the physical realm, whether we're doing it in the spiritual realm, there is always the presence of the deities, the orishas, the saints, and everyone that is there. And there has been no real liberation without that. So I would love to hear both of you all speak, or even just in conversation with each other, about the influence of the unseen on what you have made seen for us.
Well, I mean, like I said, we have visions of our own. And with these thoughts, sometimes when you, like I said, when we embrace our what's been given to us by our ancestors, the ancestors give you the message, the answer, whatever you need, the courage to bring forth. Some things you create or you think of and you're like, oh, maybe somebody won't get it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then you find out that the world is waiting for the piece. They were waiting. And I had that experience with the Crown of Thorns for the visionary, recognizing that we do have our saints and our visionaries walking around. Sometimes we take them more or less for granted, but we've been very blessed on this side to have such powerful people in our midst, I should say. You know, I opened the paper today, the Sunday paper, and there was on the front page image of John Coltrane being celebrated. And I was like, whoa, Sunday paper, Coltrane. And they're giving recognition and honor of, I forgot how many years, I only glanced at it because of the time. But again, you know, these were Alice Coltrane, Nina Simone, we mentioned her name a lot. James Baldwin, we mentioned his name. But again, these are people that walked among us. And again, they give light and I call it reflecting, you know. We give and they give back even more than we put into that. What do you say about that, Delphine?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love that you said vision. And because like for me, I find myself making work intuitively with everything that's in me. And then as you start to communicate with the work, you see the spiritual essence in it because it's just there because you're being honest and true to that feeling. And definitely sometimes you're like, oh, nobody's going to get this, but it doesn't matter. That's when you keep pushing.
Exactly.
You know? So I am with you. And I want to say too, I like that you mentioned even, you know, we have the spiritual ancestors behind us, but then we also have our immediate ancestors, but then we have you who we have honored to share the space with, you know. And you know, when you started speaking, I started getting all of these goosebumps because I remember when I was in my 20s and left, you know, graduated from college and was ready to change the world, but it was your generation that was there to say, go ahead, you could do it, you know? So I think about even maybe some of your peers like Carol Blank, I'm not sure if you know her, but she's my friend's mom and was there to say, yes, you are an artist, go and do what it is that you have to do. But then I think about Faith Ringgold and how inspired, like you all set the ground and said, it's okay, just go ahead and do what you have to do. And what you were doing and what you taught us is that we didn't have to assimilate into anything, that what we were was enough and way more powerful than the mediocrity.
Exactly.
You know, and so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're muted, Malane.
And why this conversation is so important is just what Delphine just said, that intergenerational conversation that has been happening all the time. And a part of that I found so fascinating is the presence of fabric and thread inside of this conversation. I think any woman that is in the arts, or at least any Black woman that I know that's in the arts, has been given pieces of fabric, been given pieces of clay, been given some stones. They have been given something from your generation. There is something in our house, on our walls, in our art that is coming from that generation that's saying, not only are we saying to go do it, but we're also putting armor on you, putting amulets in your pockets. And so I would love to even hear that conversation of how we pass these fabrics, and this fabric travels from your mom's back to your art, from Mama Genua's hands, and from the many places she may have gotten it, to my own daughter's walls, and even to her body. And what is the importance of us passing this on and keeping these kind of threads moving? What is that?
Yeah,
I think I know that in giving pieces of yourself is to extend yourself to the next generation. That's why I enjoy giving to the generations behind me. I know that even when we share with our friends and our peers, it's a little piece of energy. Everything is energy anyway. So when we give something in the spirit of what I should say, maybe the spirits of those who came before us, and our energy of what we bring to the planet, we supposed to share. I just have that feeling of giving is sharing a little bit of me with my friends, and the again, your beautiful daughters. And even like I said before, it's a symbol of friendship, of gratitude, of reverence, so it's not just giving to give, but giving with meaning and significance and the power. So when we are no longer here in the flesh, those pieces, might be reflected on later, and that's why that giving should again be a constant ritual with us. It's not, it's an everyday ritual. You don't have to have a special moment to have giving, but that token of thank you for crossing the path with me, thank you for being on the path with me, or I shade to that. I think that's very important, and it's done, like I said, in a very light way. Doesn't always have to be a heavy-handed giving.
Yeah, there's something so beautiful about knowing that a fabric, came from this particular person's hands, was molded, that energy is in there, and it's passed on, crossed oceans, and, and then you have it, it's not something that you throw away. It's something that you continue to pass on. And I know, like with me, I think on any given day, I have something on my body that was made by an artisan of African descent.
Say so.
And I make it a point and duty to wear it all the time. Like there's always that happening. And I know when I come to DC, I hope you have some things for me.
I got it.
We coming, Mama Moji. We coming right up there.
But when I saw her do her presentation, her videos, I was like, woo, the park is right across the street now. You don't have to go far. So I've already seen some things from that. I love the piece that you did in the bathtub or the shower.
With the rain hitting the hair and transforming the hair.
Come on. And the cotton in the hair. And then the milk running down the back. I mean, it was so visually stunning. Then the red. Again, I always like to bring in the concept of middle passage in the work. But again, giving to honor to the ancestors who didn't make it to the shores.
Yeah.
So again, back to that last piece of mosaic that I did, and it's dominant red glass, but I call that the middle passage in honor and reverence, because the middle passage ancestors laid down their blood in that, and it had to be shown in red.
Yeah.
So symbolisms
Yes.
always speak through the work. So you
Yes.
don't have to vocally say it. If you already come to the recognition that that's what it means, I think that's even more powerful to speak in symbolisms. You don't have to verbalize everything.
Absolutely.
And those know exactly where we're coming from.
I think that said, that I think there's a something about the levels of witnessing. So sometimes you can be the witness who is clearly upfront seeing everything, right? And then you can sometimes be the witness who's way, way in the back. But all of them require a bit of protection. And so sometimes what you all have done with beauty, I find it fascinating how you all use beauty and color and aesthetic in your work as a way of almost a shield of protection for you as the witness. I mean, and maybe that's just something, you know, my mind has done.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, someone is asking this, will the recording be available? Yes, it will be available on YouTube. It will also be available mainly on YouTube, National Museum of Women in the Arts program. So I just wanted to say, hear you all speak about how covering yourself with beauty and covering your work in beauty offers this helm of protection for you, and whoever. How are you using beauty as a power tool in your work?
I think, well, I like what Amanda said. Delphine, I like what she said about waking up and putting something on by one of us, coming from our culture perspective every day, or knowingly. And you don't have to go out the house. I mean, we've been in for a great amount of time, and I love how we still, you know,
still get dressed.
It's called perseverance. It's called perseverance. Just go ahead, soldier. I have a friend, we chat often, but my concept, when she always give me her concept or note for the day, I'm like, go ahead, soldier, go ahead, persevere, keep going. And that's what we must do. And that's what the work symbolizes as well, to recognize that we have our own systems in order, as long as we recognize, and sometimes people won't recognize, but as long as we know that we're upholding through the work, I think that's what gives it power, you know. And I like power art. Yeah, you know, I like art that says something meaningful. I'm not a I shouldn't say that I'm not, but I'm not bubblegum, polka dots, and moonbeams. I'm what art that says something and leaves something in its absence of not being there. It'll be missed if it wasn't there, you know? What say you, Delphine?
Yes, I agree with you, because there's this Mende quote that says there's something flying in the sky, right? Floating in the sky, but only the uninitiated sees nothing. Right? And I think about that with the beauty, right? The beauty calls everybody in, and you want to come and take an extra look. But what you just said, Mom, you said, it's for some of us get to go real deep in there. You know what I mean? Some of us get stopped, you know, they just enter at the beauty. Some see a little bit, and there's so many different levels to enter this work. And we have codes and symbols.
Exactly.
Speaking to each other, you know, and that's what it's about, is those different layers. So, you know, if you open your mind, let's think of ourselves as humans, right? If you open up your mind to humanity, then you could go in on different levels and see different things. When you come from a particular ancestry, you could go in and dive in, and it's there. And I just love that with art, like how those symbols mean everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the moment when you went to the Gullah Islands, when you were with the Gullah people, and you could understand the language. To me, that's how the art is. Like some people are going to see the art and understand the language, because those are two different things.
Yep.
You can hear the language but not understand the language. You can see the art but not understand the art,
Absolutely.
right? And
Yep.
so this and this is why I'm so happy y'all are meeting.
I love this. This is my whole year right now.
Oh, bless you. I say the same thing. She even looks familiar. Like I've seen.
That's
Oh,
how
you look like my auntie. We got to go do some research.
Like family. I mean, and it's in the work, I just see it's just so much that I'm like, y'all have to be in conversation because you're already in conversation in your work.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that when you walk into Mama Moja's house, you are going to understand everything. And I know that when she saw the red coming after that white, that she understood everything, that it wasn't just this contrasting red in the proper color and how we use in the history of red and how, you know, what it means and the significance. No, we know that we're bringing a whole entire passage. And we're talking about bodies at the bottoms of oceans that are also caught in the transformation of your hair. And there's a whole conversation there. You know, so it's a pleasure to hear you all just be in dialogue about it. I wanted to hear you both also talk about the documentation of your work, because I think that's so important. Delphine, you talked about not being able to have someone publish your book. And Mama Moja, someone did ask in the questions when your book is coming out. So I'm just gonna put that right there, so you know that people are expecting you to come out with a book soon.
I've been thinking about that really hard lately. A lot.
Yeah, well, you guys may have to talk about that. But the power of documenting your work, documenting other people's work, and pushing your own work to publication. What did that process do for you, Delphine? And what's the call to action you may have for other women that have things in the files?
Yes, I feel like we have to document for our future babies. We have to, right? Because I'm one who spends time in the archives all the time looking for stuff. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking for. And that's where you find the gems. That's where you find out those messages that were left for us from our ancestors. And so we have to continue to do that and make sure that it's preserved for future generations. And so by any means necessary. So whether it means that you're publishing it on your own, or you're going, you know, through one of these big means of publishing, it's so important to have our stories, you know, documented and passed down. And it's something that I'm definitely committed to, whether I have to do it myself or not, you know? And yeah, I mean, because even just me sitting here and looking at your presentation, when we were talking, you're going back to 1950 or 1960. What? I'm like, what? I want to see that book. Like, just think that what a blessing it is that we could sit here and share pretty much your life's journey through this amazing work that you've been consistently giving us, you know? And what does that look like? What does that mean for my grandchildren? Right? And I think it's so important. But then the thing too is that we know that we are here, even without the acknowledgement, we're still continuing those stories. And sometimes that document kind of says, okay, I know I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in this space and then I go and read a quote from someone or look at the works of someone else who was making this thing like a whole generation ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing, it's just that whisper in the ear, you're on the right track. You know, so it's just important for us to do that, to leave these gems for our future babies.
Absolutely. Well, that's why the visitor concept of knowing that we only have but so much time on the planet, and that those times are what I call acknowledging that we are here to make a contribution to the cause. And through art, we have been able to, again, extend just beyond our individual lives. So again, we've been called as the ancestors or those who really acknowledge the experience of being called to do what we do for a greater cause than who we are as a person, as a people, you know? So
Sure.
I just think like that's why I call it footprints on the path or light on the path, you know. Again, that's all you can ask for. And feel blessed, feel highly blessed that you were able to do what you do as long as you did it. Like again, Faith Ringo is in her 90s now. Betty Saw is in her 90s now, and both of them are still kicking out art. How blessed is that? You know?
Yes.
I want to be in that school of thought, in that school of thought, you
Yes.
know, and never stop. Because again, the greater good is what is in front of us, you know. And like you said, do it for the future, do it for our babies, you know.
Mm. I love the idea of what you just said. The greater good is what is in front of us, and sometimes I feel like we look so far away for the greater good versus right here. And so, what can you give me more about that? Like when you say that the greater good is what is already in front of us. I'd love to hear you speak more about that.
Well, we've had seers along the way they have given to us. And the greater good is to see something come out of this experience of us being here in America. You know, I don't believe that we've come, that old song, I don't believe they brought me this long to come this way, you know,
Right.
come
To
this
leave
way
me now.
for a reason. You
Mhm.
know, and but they say everything is a season and a reason. And I do believe, you know, for those who, when they were doing the work, I'll take Nina Simone, for example. Nina knew and she had opportunities to go the other route. But as the more that she acknowledged us as a people and gave to us, her name is, and it maybe they won't even know her name, but remember what the paths that she has left down through her work, you know. There's so many arts I can name, but keeping in mind that, again, the reason why we're here is to do the work, to add to the next. We're all, I call us, if we wanted to look at it, string of beads. We're all beads on a string, a beautiful necklace. And it's all joined together to make a beautiful ornament. So you add your part, I add my part. You bring it in your piece, I bring in my piece. And at the end of the day, that's the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. I do know. I do know. You had mentioned in your presentation the reality of regality. And I just thought that was such a powerful statement. And also the idea of the artist having the power to determine what is regal. And how that's often seen as something almost like the art world, that is seen as this elite thing that someone out there gets to determine. But this boldness of determining that, I just wanted to hear both of you speak about what does it mean to take that, things that are assigned as powers for other people to have, to take that in as your own power, put it in your work and determine its place in society.
Reality, again, may not be something that the outer culture will notice, but like they said, those who have eyes can see. You know, you might not admit it, but you know what you're looking at, you know, that is so it's so strong that you can't move away and what you say, not see it. Once you see it, you cannot go back, you know. Undeniable. It's undeniable. And that's the beauty of recognizing it. As long as I think we walk in that grace, then the whole, they might not even, you know, like the day we did the procession down 14th Street, I had 28, I was supposed I had 22 sisters. I had 18 sisters. But imagine 18 adorned, beautiful sisters doing a procession down 14th Street to U Street. And I mean, people were blowing, stopping, blowing horns or what have you. Just imagine that kind of beauty walking through the, and again, we don't have to have a special date or day to do such a thing. But when we come together, there's a power in that. In us acknowledging each other, there's a power in that. And I think back to when I did my shows, I have to give honor and respect to those sisters who, like, I need a model. Somebody, come join me, come join in. And these were sisters in the neighborhood. I didn't look for America's Next Top Model. I looked to the sister next door.
Yeah.
I want you to wear something. To bring out your queendom. Share who you are with us. And that's the power of the work. To people, a sister just said, I never thought a little sister like me from South Carolina could wear, but yes, why not? That's you, and I think that's what, when we recognize that and we give ourselves credence, yes, I can affirm that you are a queen. I hold you up as a queen. And again, that's why I always look for the people that I did. Basically, again, sisters that you would see in the supermarket or on the street or what have you. But when they put those garments on, they would transform automatically into their queenly selves. And that's why, again, back to the book and what have you, I look so forward to bringing something of that nature forward very soon, because it needs to be seen by the rest of us,
So true. Yeah, there's something to be said about not centering, your standards around standards that exist outside of yourself.
Say so.
And once you're in that space, you're free.
Ah.
Yeah.
You've hit something.
I don't even think you can actually be a witness if you have not centered your own eyes. What exactly are you looking at?
Yeah.
And what are you documenting? So that's such what I also just love about both of you all's work. It is clearly you are at the center of it. Your culture is at the center of it. And it is, of course, Toni Morrison speaks about, taking the fringe and centering it. And it's like, I feel like you all, whether you think it's fringe or not, it is where it is, and you all have centered it. And that kind of work, it provides mapping for other people to be able to find their way. Because sometimes you may not know where you are, but if you can say, okay, well, I know where they are and I can see how to get to them, you can find your way. So we need those people that are anchored in their vision.
That's why I enjoyed presenting in gallery spaces, the Queen of Spades. So I'm not even in the room. If you see that piece, I mean, you don't have to be around to say who the piece is. It's the energy that is drawn. And people will spend, it's been on exhibit at least 4 to 5 times now. And people will spend time kind of looking at each piece of fabric or the feathers or the necklace is really, as you noted, Melanie, is a shield. It's a power. It's a power shield. The energy that I put into that to create that is a protection. So I believe it gives certain energies by just being who she is in the space that she is. You get something from her presence there.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to believe that we have just maybe 5 to 6 more minutes in this conversation. But I hope that it is definitely the beginning of something fantastic and something absolutely beautiful for you all to be able to connect this way. And I wanted to just take a moment and see if there was maybe something that you all had to ask of each other or something to put on the table of curiosity yourself?
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, I heard Amanda, I had my genealogy done.
Hmm.
And when they said that you mentioned the coming from Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea,
Yeah.
Equatorial Guinea came up on my chart.
Mm.
And I'm looking at her, I was like, this might
Looking
be,
at her whole
You
face.
know?
might be a little distant relative.
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
But that's the beauty of connecting, I think, and
Mhm.
especially at this time, as I'm moving around, like I was saying, just passing on things to people that I think will really get, again, to take what the offering is to the next level, to the
Yes.
next space. That's the beauty of being here at this time and connecting.
Mhm.
So, Melania, I really give thanks to you for having that vision, sister.
Yeah.
Connect us, exactly.
You definitely, like, I'm
Seen
sitting
and
here in
unseen.
awe of how beautifully, aligned this conversation is. And you know what? It's so okay. So I'm looking in because your space is just beautiful, and I see a picture back there that my sister took, Regine Romaine.
Ah,
I'm like, that has to be the picture.
my goodness.
That's right. I'm like,
Yes.
this is just beautiful. I'm like, I see, because I got the same picture in my house.
How do you get to that? How do you get to that? Maybe that's why I told him, let me move I could have shown this side, but let me move around this way.
So beautiful.
Ah,
Yeah, and I feel like there's no accidents, we
Regine,
connect.
Regine,
This is the
beautiful
beginning of
sister.
something beautiful.
Is she in your book as well?
She sure is. Yes, she is. Yeah,
Okay.
We got to make sure that Mama Moji gets a copy of the book so she can see.
For sure. Yes. You got it. Yep.
I love.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know we all are like, okay, at this point, like, yes. What can you say? Yes, we get it. Thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you.
Karen Daniels wants to know the name of the book. Adama, can you tell us again the name of the book?
Yes, it's Fun, Women Photographers of the African Diaspora. I can put it in the chat. Yes, and it features 116 women and non-binary photographers from around the globe.
I love it. And Adama, if you all go to the National Museum of Women in the Arts, if you go to the website that has the advertisement for this presentation, it does take you also to her website. And then is there also another website that you wanted us to be able to find you at as well?
Well, oh no, my website is delphinfawundu.com. I just put it in the chat. And then now the book is sold out. We are working on bringing it back, but
Okay.
Right. It's still there can be that can happen.
But we're working on another edition,
right?
And the archives and making sure that more of this gets into the world, and we're gonna keep pushing.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, it is hard for me to even think or dreaming of bringing this conversation to only a temporary close, because we all know that it will continue. We have people in the comments talking about how Mama Genua has adorned them. I know that so many women, it's almost like a rites of passage in this area, that you have officially walked a whole other kind of land once you've been adorned by Mama Genua. And that, like, you've initiated into something right there once that has happened. And so many of us have been adorned by you. And so many of us have been able to watch you. Adama, it is a pleasure to look at the work of my own sisters of probably the same age range that are continuing the traditions. When I look at your work, I know that you have a Mama Moja, several Mama Mojas in your life as well.
I
And
was
that
just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing because you were talking about the Sia and all of these different people. We have every community. You just gotta seek them
Absolutely.
out, right? And you're just
Mhm.
doing what you were put here to do, and that's just I just love it. Yes.
And may we continue to bear witness that the work that you all do is not in vain, that we listen, that we follow, that we uplift you, we continue, we go to the water, we go to the earth, and we make these things happen over and over again. And we are constantly enfolded into your work, into your legacy, Mama Genua, and that will always be a part of how we continue. And even in your daughters that you don't even know your daughters are across highways, lands, and oceans, and still continuing the work and the legacy that your generation continues to bring to us. We are grateful.
I'm grateful for y'all. Thank you. Ashe.
Ashe. So thank you all so much for joining us for this fresh talk, this conversation about witness. There's levels to it. Some of it you may get, some of it you might have to replay, and we welcome that as well. So thank you all and have a good night. We'll see you next time.